Hello, greetings everybody, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back to do an episode of this week. This will be coming out a couple of hours later than normal, mostly because I was out late and didn't get back in time to even finish my metal. So, and then the battle that I did this morning, which I didn't actually do this morning. I did it noon, which was supposed to be out this morning. I actually just released recently, so this I'm going to space it a bit, put it out at 2 o'clock. I hope everybody can understand. It's that time of year when lots of stuff going on. You just can't do everything you want to do because it's impossible to be in two places at once. But anyways, for those of you who are new to this channel and do not know what it is I do here, this is an episode that I do every week on Sunday around noon approximately, where I talk about what's coming up on the channel for the week, and in this case the week of December 17th to 23rd. We're getting down to close to Christmas now, so lots of stuff happening. And on this channel we just basically talk about the shows that we do normally during the week and any series we're running, plus anything that might be coming up that you may want to know about for the future, next month and the month after. So, and also if I've made any errors, that I think I've made any errors, or something has happened that wasn't needed an explanation from past week or so, I usually talk about that too. Other than the fact that I was behind on a couple of videos this weekend, everything else has been fairly normal and routine. Okay, we did have a kind of a view torrential downpour over the one video that I did for favorites. Favorites is one of those things. Sometimes these videos explode, especially if there's any kind of perceived or unperceived negative statement in the title or in the video, such as there was this week where I indicated that they were not albums that stood the test of time, and some people took a little bit of an exception to that. When I say stuff like that, that's not me saying that these are terrible albums and you should never have listened to them. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, for me, they never stood the test of time. In the context that I used it wasn't that they were burned out, because I have lots of burned out albums that I've listened to so much that I just don't listen to them as much as I used to, but I still like them a lot. When I was referring to these albums, they're albums that my perspective on them has changed. I don't care for them as much as I thought I did. Well, as much as I did back then. I love them, but I didn't really care for them as much in the future. To me, they weren't as good as I originally thought they were, in my own estimation, just for my own personal feelings about them. I do like all of the albums that were on it. I just don't listen to them because I don't think they're as good as they once were, and they've kind of burned out as well. So it's kind of a combination, I guess. But it was by no means an attempt to tell people that this is crap. There was none of that. I never said they were crap. And so I just wanted to clarify that, because sometimes when you're making these titles, you word them as perfectly or as close to as perfect as you can, but you can never get all of the encaption about what you're trying to say in a title, because there'd be no point to doing the video at that point, right? If you couldn't get all of it right in the caption. Anyways, having said that, it appears that most people are enjoying the video, and that's what it's about. Discussion about maybe some of these albums will come back to life now. Maybe my opinion about them might change. Who knows? Anyways, on to this week's episodes, which are the important ones because they're the ones coming up. Other than this particular episode we're doing, there's going to be 4 other episodes this week for the regular series, and then for the regular episodes, and then there'll be an additional 7 for the series. Okay, so the next episode up usually is Ben's album challenge, the Great Album Challenge. Ben's album challenge was last week. The Great Album Challenge will fall this week. He's chosen the year 1969. I've looked at the list of albums that he's given me. And it looks like it'll be a very good series for this week. I think I'm looking forward to doing that one. It'll come out tonight on its regular time as well. Monday night's look back at a classic rock album will come out on Monday, as it normally does. And I was actually surprised when I was deciding on what album to choose for this week. I said, you know what, I'm going to go back. It's the last month of the year. I'm going to go back to my favorite band and pick an album there. And I started looking through and I picked an album, and then I thought, then I wanted to make sure I hadn't done it, because it's gotten so many of them now. I went back and checked, and I then realized, I can't believe I didn't do this album. This is my favorite Rush album, and I've never done it. I'm not even sure why I didn't do it. Part of me thinks I did do it, and then maybe it was on the show that predated the look back at a classic rock album. I used to do a show where I just did album rankings. It may have been on that, like my Yes one is. If that's the case, this will be labeled as a redo, but I won't know that until I actually put it in. So. But I don't think I have. I'm almost 100% sure I didn't do this album. Rush's Permanent Waves. Fantastic album. One of my 5 favorite albums of all time. This one has been as high as 4th in its history with me. 4th favorite album. It's suffering major burnout now, because I played it way too much. But I still love this album. There's nothing about this album that's deteriorated at all. I still think it's a great album. I just can't listen to a lot of the tracks anymore. I'm just so tired of them. But except for maybe Natural Science, even Free Will, which I really love. Spirit of Radio is overkilled. Jacob's Ladder, I could go on, but I'm not going to go on. I'll do that for the episode. Talk a little bit more in depth about them. But this is a fantastic album. Still my favorite Rush album, although it's being challenged a lot by some of the ones that have come just before it. And anyways, I hope you will tune in for that episode. The next episode we do is, of course, now will be Wednesday night favorites. We're doing the 12 songs of Christmas this week. Now, I have to say, Ben tried to talk me into this originally, and I thought, nah, I don't really listen to rock Christmas songs. And then he said, oh, there's lots out there. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go and look. And I started to kind of half-ass look, because I've never really been into rock Christmas songs much. I started to look, and for some reason my friend Andrea, when I told her that what Ben had suggested, she says, oh, absolutely, you got to do one. She said, started reaming off all these songs, and she says, I want you to do it. And then she pushed so much, I said, okay, well, we'll do it, but we're going to call it Andrea's 12 Christmas songs, kind of like I do with Ben's album challenge. And she's going to pick all of the songs, or she has picked most of them already, picked all of the songs to have me review and then rate them the way I want to. She actually gave me too many, so I'm going to narrow it down to 12, and then I will give her the list so that she can kind of decide if that list meets with her expectations, and then we'll release the list. It's just basically something fun to do for Christmas anyways, so I thought it might be nice to do the 12 songs of Christmas, kind of parlayed on the 12 days of Christmas type of thing. All just in fun. So that episode will be for favorites this week. The last episode for favorites, I'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. Okay, so the next show that comes up is What's New. That comes out on Thursday night, because we moved it to Thursday so I could space out the review albums a bit more better. The album I've chosen, I looked through 2 or 3 albums, and I decided on this one, even though I think it's more of a collection of past songs that he's redone in an acoustic fashion. Neil Young before and after, but I think this is, most of Neil Young's stuff, even the compilations and stuff that he's done in the past, I think deserve it. We've already done one with Chrome Dreams, which is an album that was supposed to be released back in the 70s that never was released. However, it was released now, but at the same time, a lot of those songs were on other albums by that time, so it's not really a greatest hits, but it's it's actually not a greatest hits at all. It's an album that should have been released, but a lot of its tracks you're going to find on other studio albums by him. Okay, so we're doing Neil Young's before and after this next episode of What's New. I look forward to doing that as well. So then we're going to now talk a little bit about the series. The series has now ended its first round, first 16 battles. We have 16 remaining albums and artists. It's the Progressive Rock Solo Artist Album Wars. We have the remaining battles. He's given me the battle combatants. The one that just went out between Phil Collins' Face Value and Peter Gabriel's Security. I already reviewed that and gave my opinion as to who wants to go, who's going next, who's going on. So if you want to watch the video to see what happened, you can go back and click on that one. We have the other battles. I don't normally do this, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about the battles. So we have Geddy Lee's My Favorite Headache going up against Steve Hackett's Spectral Mornings. These are two kind of very different albums. That'll be interesting to do that battle. That'll be number 18. Number 19 will be Steve Hillage's Fish Rising, which is a really good album, against Annie Heslam, Alice in Wonderland, another really vocally strong album. Battle 20, Adrian Belew, Air Revolution, will feature him against Peter Hamill, The Silent Corner, and The Empty Stage. This is going to be an interesting battle for sure. Next is up Robert Wyatt, Rock Bottom. He will face Rick Wakeman's Journey to the Center of the Earth. These are very different albums, these two. Almost polar. Yep, definitely. The next one, Battles 22, will be Steve Howe's Turbulence against Mike Rutherford's Small Creeps Day. I'm really curious to see how I'm going to feel about that when I listen to the two albums, because I like both these albums and I love both of these artists. It's interesting to see what's going to happen. And then the last one for this week, there's one more that will come out next week. Alan Halsworth's Metal Fatigue and Tony Banks's Curious Feelings. The last one is going to be on the next week, so we'll discuss that one when we get to it. Okay, so that's it for the series for this week. Like I said, I don't normally talk about the battles at all here, but I decided that I felt like doing it today. And since I run the station, I don't have to listen to the manager. I can just tell him where I want to do, and that's it. Okay, so other things coming up. Okay, so January will not have a monthly series. I've decided that I need to catch up on some stuff that I plan to do. There's a lot of stuff in the waiting in the wings that I can't do because I don't have time for it, and so I want to get into that. A couple of them are mini series that I will be doing. One featuring those 6 bands. I think I've talked about this last week. I'll just briefly re-mention it again here. 6. I've decided to do a mini series on 6 progressive rock bands that are kind of big here on the YouTube progressive rock family here on YouTube, but they weren't quite as big as those mega bands like Yes and Genesis and Pink Floyd and Rush. Like, none of those bands. This is going to be the bands that for whatever reason didn't quite make that jump to the mainstream knowledge, I guess, if you want to know, like become knowledgeable to the mainstream people. Most of these bands will be definitely well known by progressive rock fans, especially ones on the YouTube network who are in love with these bands. I love them, so I assume they are too. I chose 6 of them. Could have easily done 10 or 12. Man, actually could have done maybe 20 even, but I narrowed it down to 6 that I think suit the situation, and we'll do a little mini series on that. The other one is going to be the Yes Genesis battle, if you want to call it that. I don't really want to call it that. I think it's more comparing the two, and I've chosen 6 categories in which to compare 6 different albums by each band. This was an idea put forth by Ben. I think it was a great idea. I think it could be other bands and that could be put forth together. These two seem to fit perfectly with each other because for many progressive rock bands, these are the 2 big bands. These are the 2. And, Rush aside, Rush Rush themselves don't even think of themselves as a progressive rock band. They kind of think of themselves as a hard rock band that did lots of other stuff. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think of them as a progressive rock band, and I think many people do. But these two definitely are progressive rock, and they seem to be the pinnacle of progressive rock. So it's a nice kind of comparison. I've always thought of them as being similar in a lot of ways too. So those will be two of the mini-series I'll be doing in January, and we will be launching a couple of new shows. One, I believe we're going, I've kind of thought this over, and I decided to change what I'm going to do for the metal. So metal usually comes out every second week, although it's been derailed the last couple of weeks, unfortunately, because it comes at the end of the week. But I'm going to push on it today. I'm going to get it done, and then there'll be nothing next week on that time. But then once the new year starts, we will have it was originally going to alternate with album sides, but I decided that I think album sides is going to go on the Tuesday night, and I may put another show opposite with it as well, so that we have changing 1 week and then another, and there's another show I have an interest in too, so I may put those two together. But I think what I'm going to do is the Prog World, which was a show that I was going to do similar to metal, I think I will do those two opposite of each other. Makes sense, right? So you have progressive rock 1 week, and then the next week you'll have metal. And I'm going to do kind of the same thing with progressive rock, the Prog World, in that if you follow the metal, you know that I generally pick a new band 1 week, and then an old band the next week, or a band older than 10 years, been around longer than 10 years, and I talk about them, and then the newer ones, newer than 10 years. I'll probably do the same thing with the progressive rock, something similar, where I'll have maybe a 70s progressive rock band, and then progressive beyond the 70s, kind of, so that we have the division between the two. That's where I'm going to go with this. And then I don't know if I'll do the exact type of same thing as I did on metal, where I kind of talk about all their albums and about the band in general, what I like, don't like. This one I think might be a little bit more in depth because I have more progressive rock knowledge. So that's where I'm standing with the future shows coming up. And then, of course, I have the one-offs. So next month, there'll be quite a few more one-offs. I have at least one-off for each of the shows that I don't do on a normal basis. So we'll probably throw a lot of those in there too, just to mix it up a bit. So anyways, that's it. That's it for this week. No, it's not this week. The following week, we'll have album hauls. I did get a fairly extensive amount of new stuff, as you can see in the corner up here, that I got last week, which I wasn't supposed to shop and buy, but I can't go by the store. I hear it calling my name, going, "Murph, come in here and just say hi." Yeah, that never happens. I go in there and then I come out there and I'm like, my card is buzzing because I've spent too much again. Anyways, that's the way it is. When you like this kind of stuff, you tend to go overboard, and that's the way I tend to be with it as well. So anyways, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. Please hit the notification bell if you want to be informed of this content, and please hit like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. We will see you next Sunday for this week, so take care and have yourself a good day.